The very first teaching that I do when I do a Revelation study is a teaching on Daniel 2, Daniel 7, Daniel 11, and Revelation 17 and Revelation 13. Primarily Daniel 2 and Revelation 17. Because what I want to do is I want to show you that the Antichrist was, now is not, from the perspective of John, in the sixth kingdom, in the vision, but is going to rise again and go to its destruction. This immediately debunks the stupid theory that the Antichrist is a man. And I demonstrate to you that the Antichrist is a kingdom, and we know exactly what kingdom it is and how that kingdom keeps building. It starts out with the fifth kingdom of Daniel 2, and which is also the fifth kingdom in Revelation 17, and it continues to grow through the prostitutes that bear out of her, the false prophet of the United States, and the image of the Antichrist, which is counterfeit Israel. So even if you don't know who the Antichrist is, just based on that information, John being in the sixth kingdom, in the vision, in Revelation 17, and him being told the Antichrist was, now is not, but is going to rise again. And it will itself be the eighth kingdom. So sixth kingdom, then there's a seventh kingdom, then there's an eighth kingdom. And when it's the eighth kingdom, then Jesus is coming back. I mean, that's what's going to happen. And we know the amount of days that eighth kingdom is going to be in power, 42 months. Then we know that after it's in power, on the 1290th day, that the abomination of desolation is going to be set up. And blessed is the one who reaches 1335 days, and Jesus is coming in those days. So these are things that we already know from Scripture. Is it even possible, guys? Is it possible that from the sixth kingdom to the eighth kingdom, or from John's time, which he was living during the fourth kingdom, and then the fifth kingdom we know is the Antichrist, because that's where the rock is thrown in Daniel 2, to bring down all of the kingdoms. We know that it's a divided kingdom. We know that from the perspective of John in the sixth kingdom, that it was, so it has to be between 1 through 5 of the kingdoms, but we already know that it's the fifth. Is it possible that from that time until now, or until the eighth kingdom, that would span a human man's life? Absolutely not. There have been the papal rule over Rome and the papal states ended in 1870. There have been 155 years just in that time. No human being, human Antichrist, is going to reign. There are human Antichrists who are in this kingdom, and the definition of Antichrists are those who have the spirit of the Antichrist in them, who form a kingdom. That is, they belong to the Antichrist. They belong to Satan. They have his mark. So my point that I want to make to you is that the Antichrist kingdom has already been here. It's already reigned previously. It still has power. It's just not reigning. And it's going to rise back to power in order to reign. And then Jesus will come back. After a period of great tribulation, great distress, such as has not happened in the world up until that point. Now, what I want to tell you about that is that if you want to know how the Antichrist is going to reign, or what you're going to see, or the tactics that will be used by Satan, all you have to do is look at what happened the first time the Antichrist reigned. And one of the things that happened when the Antichrist reigned the first time was the Spanish Inquisition. And during the Spanish Inquisition, people were essentially, they were so afraid, first of all, of the harlot Catholic Church, because they were burning people at the stake, and you could be labeled a heretic at any moment, that people under this fear were denouncing others, and they were encouraged to denounce others. And there are a lot of similarities with what this current administration of the false prophet is doing that should alert you. Now, today, God was talking with me about betrayal. He's preparing me for being betrayed. I already know, in fact, one person who's going to betray me, which actually took me by surprise. It didn't shock me, but it took me by surprise. Because frankly, I mean, there's a whole list of people who are angry with me for the things that I say, and I would have thought any one of them would be betraying me, but God has let me know. And so he is then reminding me, because I asked him, I want a witness, and so I've asked him for a witness, and he brought me through that place. And then he's also reminding me of what happened when the Antichrist reigned the first time. So I'm not going to talk about that person. I'm not going to talk about the witness that he's given me, because that really is between me and him. What I am going to talk about are the tactics and strategies of this Antichrist the first time that he was reigning in the first kingdom of papal Rome, which now has grown through the prostitutes that bore out of her the image of the Antichrist and the false prophet. Everyone is going to be thrown into one of two categories. You either belong to Christ or you belong to the Antichrist, and the majority will be thrown into the category of belonging to the Antichrist. That's a lot of people. Okay, so just pulling from Google, I want to talk to you about how this denunciation process worked. Edicts of grace. The Inquisition would arrive in a city and announce an edict of grace, a period, typically 30 to 40 days, during which people would confess to heresy and receive lighter punishments. Naming others. As part of their penance, those who confessed were then instructed to denounce others they knew or suspected of heresy. So, when they were in confession, in order for them to be forgiven, they had to essentially turn somebody else in as part of their penance, as part of their consequence for their own sin. This is such a bananas, skewing and distortion of what repentance is. Now your mercy is contingent on you handing over another person? That's crazy. Did Jesus teach that? Informant networks. The Inquisition relied heavily on networks of informants, which included neighbors, friends, family members, and even local officials. Anonymous accusations. Accusations were often kept anonymous, leaving the accused unaware of who their accusers were. Denunciation. Denunciations were often motivated by personal resentment, envy, or fear of the Inquisition itself. The system of denunciation created an environment of fear and distrust, as people were encouraged to accuse others to protect themselves or seek leniency. This practice contributed to the widespread persecution and suffering associated with the Spanish Inquisition. So let's just think about, kind of as a social experiment, which this largely feels like, what happens when your survival and the survival of your family and your little children are contingent on remaining in the good graces, I use that tongue in cheek, in the good graces of the Antichrist, like as though the Antichrist has good graces, right? What happens, nations have done this, especially the United States, has pit people against each other in terms of, by race, by money, making you believe that there aren't enough resources for everyone. And so you start hating other people because you think they're taking resources. That's part of the strategy that was used during the Holocaust. They're taking our resources, right? And so you see how quickly that can stir up hate. Well, now here in the United States, we have an administration who is essentially has set a quota by which ICE and these other officials need to collect a quota of immigrants on the daily and deport them to these terrible demonic detention centers. They have a quota. So I don't know what the consequence is for not meeting that quota, but I would imagine it has a lot to do with their livelihood. because something is fueling the aggression and the hatred and the means by which they are going after people and going after them willy-nilly. I mean, these people, what, weren't we told that they were going to go after criminals? I mean, are there that many criminals? Come on. That many criminals farming out there in the fields? Is our Justice Department that savvy that they just picked up? I mean, what do they have, like a bloodhound's gift for being able to sniff this out or something? No, they're just going out there willy-nilly because they've been given a quota and their livelihood depends on it. Well, something similar went on in the Spanish Inquisition. In order for you to pay a debt, the debt that you have between you and God, people were being told that this was what they were required to do regarding their sin. That's pretty persuasive, even to the extent that it obviously suspended all reason. Like, how are you going to go hand over an innocent person in order to cleanse yourself? How does that work? But this is what devils believe. This is what people with that spirit of the Antichrist buy into. They're going to buy into stuff like this. And so, and it may not be the same exact narrative, but I'm telling you, they will be betraying you if you belong to God. I will be betrayed. And I have a very sneaking suspicion that the consequence for not handing people over, that the consequence for not meeting that quota is going to be very severe. That the lives of your family members, your little children, of you, are going to hinge on doing the bidding of this Antichrist. So, you know, I've been telling you need to return to God. I've been telling you that you need to prepare yourself. Take this to God. Take it to Him. Discern it with Him. Ask Him, is this true? Is this really going to happen? Because you need to get your heart in a place where you're able to give your life. Period. Whether it happens this way or another way. You need to get yourself in a place where you are able to give your life and even the lives of your family. Now, a couple weeks ago, God spoke this message to me. Many of you know on the channel that in order to save the house or the building that God had me purchase, that He used in order to teach me how to take care of His house, that when it came time to sell that building in order to pay for my house, He said, I'm not done with the building yet. And so I knew at that point that if I did not sell that building, I was in danger of losing my house. But I reasoned that God could do anything. If this is what He's telling me to do, this is what I'm required to do. So that's what I'll do. And also that God told me to stay here in this house. So He has to make a way. But I'm not going to disobey Him for my understanding in the world. I'm going to obey Him and trust that He's going to lead me to whatever it is that He wants to do. And my house was sold. And I'm still living in it. And I believe that He'll have me continue to live in it. My house was not just sold, my house was auctioned. So I didn't sell my house personally. And a couple weeks ago, God was speaking to me about what I did and what He did. And He said, you saved your house by putting it up for my house. And here is a message that you guys need to understand. If you are not willing to put up your house for God, for His house, you will not save your house. All of God's people are going to die. He has already told us that in the Word. Revelation 6 talks about how the martyrs under the altar of Christ are crying out, how long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants and avenge our blood? And they're given white robes and told to wait a little bit longer until the full number of their brothers and sisters had been killed just as they have been. So we already know the full number is going to be killed. We also know that Jesus said, don't fear those who kill the body, but fear the one who can kill both soul and body in hell. We also know that Jesus said, the very people who kill you are going to claim to be doing a service to God. So there it is right there. That's what these people would be claiming to do. These people who are betraying you and handing you over and persecuting and murdering you. They are going to claim to be doing a service to God. I don't have the full picture of this message. This is all that he has spoken to me, so I'm going to leave it right there. But I think it's really important that it's a lot. It's a 15-minute video, but there's a lot in it, isn't there? You need to go discern it, and you need to go be prepared. And not by information that you're gathering on YouTube, but by God. So go return to him.